Heading into week 4 and looking back at week 3, a few powerful things stood out. Let's start with number 1 and UW. UW looked like not only the best team in the Pac-12, they looked like the best team in the Big Ten. And then I'd say one of the best teams in the country. And you can make a real case when you look at the top teams in America right now in the AP poll and say who's played the most consistent. I get it. They didn't go to Alabama and win like Texas did. Best win of the season in college football, in my opinion, this year. We know Alabama is not what Alabama was. Still a really talented roster. But every team that Washington has played, they have put it on them. And I keep saying it. When you watch this team offensively, it's like they're running downhill at you with these receivers. It reminds me of 2020 Alabama and all those wideouts, just shot after shot. And what I keep seeing is guys catching the ball on the run and catching it, and it's Yak, it's Jalen McMillan, it's Rome Odunze, it's this entire receiving core. And then the thing that stood out after watching the game back against Michigan State was the contested catches. They look like an NFL receiving core. And I'm not here to debate who's got the best receiving core. Not. I know Ohio State's got a loaded receiving core, USC, Arizona. You could look around the country. There's a lot of talented groups. But they're full of pros in Seattle. I mean, they just are. And I love just the focus this team has. Was there 2 weeks ago. They are playing at an incredible level. They bring back Zion Tupelo-Fatui as an edge rusher. His impact was felt. You look at who they have in this defensive front, what Jabbar Muhammad's done in the back end. Look, UW is for real. And I think we have to stop talking about the Pac-12 as like, will they get a team in the playoff versus how about 2 teams in the playoff? How about the number 1 seed in the CFP? And I get the road that Georgia has, and they pretty much, have a cakewalk schedule-wise compared to Washington, compared to USC, compared to Utah, compared to any of the teams out west, not even close. But you got to look at what we see. I wish the CFP was starting now, just to hear what they would say in the room among the members who are trusted to have their voices heard on the biggest stage in sport, which is the college football playoff, and obviously the sport that we love. So I think that to me stood out dramatically. They got Cal this weekend. It will not be easy. Justin Wilcox has had his fair share of success at UW. Remember the game in 2019? It started at, I think, at 7:30, ended at 1:22 a.m. I remember that one like it was yesterday. How about this week? We got some huge games. Colorado, Oregon. Look, you got to give the Buffs credit. I get all the dialogue. I went back and watched one of their vlogs just to see what was going on off the field last weekend. It was awesome with The Rock, with both pregame shows and Fox and ESPN being there, with Lil Wayne leading the team out. I mean, it was off the hook. It was just a different vibe. I was told by somebody who was there with some Nike executives, and they all said, hey, we haven't felt anything like this since the Pete Carroll era. And I was on the staff there, and the sidelines were crazy. It was Snoop Dogg. It was Will Ferrell. It was A-list actors, actresses. You're feeling the 2023 version of that in Boulder right now. And I'm here to celebrate that. I'm all about it. I love what Coach Prime, what Deion Sanders has done for the game. And look at that team and that school and that university and that community and the sport in general. We're talking about Colorado in ways we never have before. I think that we also, though, need to talk about them on the field. 98-yard drive to tie the game by Shedeur Sanders. He's completing about 80% of his passes in 2 games. He's right underneath that on the season. The dude can spin it. We talked about it after spring ball. I went there and watched him. He can anticipate. His ball placement's elite. And this offense goes at warp speed. So now they go to Autzen Stadium to face the Ducks. I was just there over the weekend, watched their beatdown of Hawaii. And Oregon is a team that is going to grow as the season goes on. And we've seen Colorado injuries hit them a little bit on the offensive line. Obviously, Travis Hunter out for a couple weeks now. Look out for this Oregon Ducks at the line of scrimmage. I think this offensive front is going to grow into one of the best ones on the West Coast by the end of the season. I think they have 2 left tackles that are NFL players. I like their center, and I like their backs, and they're rotating guys at guard. So that's what I would go to. I know there'll be a ton of dialogue around what Dan Lanning said, around Deion Sanders and Coach Prime, his team. But when you get to the game, it's going to be one at the line of scrimmage. And I think it's advantage Oregon this weekend. Defensively, it's a bunch of experienced players. Mace Funa, 5th year. Popo Amavai, 7th year. You kind of Brandon Dorless, 5th year. You kind of go up and down that roster. Taki Taimani. I mean, they've got guys that have played a lot of football and really athletic linebackers. And a secondary that rolls. Was challenged against Hawaii. They'll be challenged again this weekend. It'll be an awesome environment. It'll be packed, as I referenced, standing room only. But I like the Ducks in this one on the offense and defensive fronts. But again, don't count out the effort of Colorado. This is going to be a fun team to watch, and we know what they have the next 2 weeks in Oregon and SC. But this is a huge test. By far, the best team they face this season is who they're going to face on Saturday in Eugene. How about, to me, the game of the week, though, is honestly the Cougs and the Beavs in Pullman. I love this matchup because these are two teams that have been dramatically disrespected by seemingly every adult in Power 5 football because they've been told they're not a Power 5 team. Where's their home? I wished it got settled yesterday. It'll get settled. Something will come of this. I don't think either one of these programs are going to slow down in their build, but they are on an awesome stage facing each other. Ted Robinson and I have called this game many times, Oregon State, Washington State. It's always a classic. It'll always come down to the final few drives of the game. And what's great about this one is when you look at the history of this game, I think, at least in the last decade, it's got the best two quarterbacks that this matchup has ever had. For Washington State, Cameron Ward, and DJ Uyunglele for the Beavs. Got an offensive front of Oregon State, which is among, if not the best in America, and the best running back on the West Coast, and Damian Martinez. And you got a defensive front that makes a lot of noise. Ron Stone Jr., Brennan Jackson. I mean, these are guys that are really experienced. Shaw Smith-Wade might be the best corner on the West Coast for the secondary at Washington State. So I expect an incredible matchup. Something to just keep in the back of your minds. Last year, Washington State put it all over Wisconsin on the road, and they came back and played Oregon. And they had the lead until about the last 90 seconds of that ball game. And Jake Dicker was asked about that this week. And how does the team handle the success of early season wins, now ranked top 25 as they should be? How do they handle a team that's been picked by many, including me, to go to Las Vegas and find their way to the Pac-12 championship game? So I can't wait to watch this one. I think it's going to be an absolute classic, absolute classic. I'm going to Stanford, Arizona at Stanford. Stanford's got to bounce back. That was a brutal loss to Sacramento State. You go watch that game back, and Stanford's rolling in the first quarter. You think they're going to workman like this thing, and away they go against Troy Taylor's former team, but they don't. And the way that it ended was just kind of chaos in terms of the play that won the game for Sac State. Congrats to them. It was a huge win for that program. And for Arizona, their defense has taken a big jump. I want to see that. I want to see Jaden Delore play another clean game. We know his highs can be high. We've seen some lows. That was the first half against Mississippi State 2 weeks ago. Now, can he play a second straight, really complete game and then set up for a sold-out tilt against UW? We're going to find out. I mean, it's going to be awesome. In 2 weeks, we're calling that one as well. The roadshow of the Pac-12 will be there. So all hands will be on deck with Ashley and Nigel and Nick Aliotti, and our entire crew will be there. So that will be electric. But here we go. Finally, conference play. A lot to talk about, a lot to debate. Always love the support, the comments, the shares, and hopefully you like this content. Trying to do it once a week. Thanks.